driver. So I was actually gonna to change the schedule, and I was gonna do Wednesday or Thursday, and we talked about it. But it was kind of last minute if I was gonna make that decision. So I just decided we were gonna keep it the same, and she'll take a lift and it'll all be good. And so she just left, and but I don't know why my computer wasn't working. So it's been one of those kind of mornings, right? And I grew up in the Upper Peninsula, you guys, of Michigan. And remember, I have the chat, you guys. So of course, duh, everybody does. But if you guys have any questions or comments or thoughts or anything that anybody wants to talk about or wants me to respond to, other than anything that I'm training on, it's completely fine. There's no, in my opinion, for me, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no right or wrong here. It's a discussion as well as a training. So, in any case, I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and every year they had this race, and the race was the POR, and it stood for Press On Regardless, and it was a 24-hour, pretty aggressive off-road race, and there were only two. There was a driver and a co-pilot, and typically they were GTIs and some other smaller, lightweight, all-wheel drive Subarus and things like that. V-dubs and stuff. It was just a really great race, and it I always think about it because that Press On Regardless. These guys would blow engines, they would hit trees. I mean, this is a single track race throughout the entire woods of the Upper Peninsula. Animals you had to avoid. Major blind spot turns, lakes, just crazy stuff would happen on this race. They would roll over and have to press on. They would have to get a crew out there and fix it and get going and redo it. And so, Renatus is a POR type of business. And maybe all businesses are, but, Renatus is one of those things, in my opinion, where, and in my experience, really, I've been doing this a while. I did take a leave of absence for 5 years on the marketing side, but Renatus in general is a press on regardless. It's something that we continue to grow and learn at. And my buddy Dave out here did a training last night on kind of the steps, right? And it was interesting because he had a lot of cool things to talk about, but the majority of what he said was the basics. It was, inviting people to the events and the 4 money-making activities along with asking for the sale. And so when we look at Renatus and we look at how simple the steps are, it's still a long learning curve, and everybody's learning curve is different. And so it's easy, I guess, you'll hear Michael say this, and I know that I always refer to Michael and Christian because those are the guys that are here training every week, as you guys do. And then, of course, I've got my training companions here in Arizona, but I don't get to listen to Scott and John and some of the other, Mitch and some of the other major leaders across the country as much because I just don't get on those calls. But anyway, so, you'll hear Michael say, not to compare and yourself with other results, and then you'll hear me say, every day is a new day. Every day you can start your business over. You can fire yourself from your previous, business, and you can start this business again. And you don't have to look back and be concerned with what you haven't accomplished, right? But I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean by I don't have all the answers, right? So, and what I mean by how that pertains to pressing on regardless. So, in my history, it's regional season. And so you hear a lot about You've got to go to regionals. You have to be at regionals, travel over broken glass, naked, right, to get there. And that you want to have guests there, right? And there's a lot of what you should do, a lot of what needs to be done, and not so much why, right? And I don't know the answer to that. I can only guess, right? And I try to elaborate as to why, but one of the whys is, I guess, is that the people that make the money in this company, and have been for years and have had in the past made money in the company, they're at those events, right? And they are learning, and they are participating. And then you don't come back on a regional Monday after an incredible event and make $10,000 necessarily. You don't come back and all of a sudden your business quadruples the next day. It's one of those things that you gain momentum, you get pretty excited, and you might hit the books a little harder, hit the business a little harder for the next week or two, or maybe it's a full month. But the ripple effect, as we all know, Scott Rowe, right? The ripple effect of that regional event will play out in your business for a long time to come. And the results will show up much later, possibly, than you'll even recognize they started from the regional. A lot of the things that we do in Renatus, from my experience, is that they just are what people do. There's not necessarily a reason to it, except for it's the way the system works, right? We're an event-driven business. You'll hear Bob Snyder say that all the time. We are an event people business. We are a personal business, right? And in order to thrive in your business, you have to show up at events, right? So you're going to pick up nuggets and you're going to learn from different trainers. And from what I heard about the regionals that have been going on so far, the training from first year people all the way up to the pack members and Bob himself, it's been just phenomenal, right? And they're just bringing everything they have, every piece of content they can possibly bring to you and to me and to us to help us succeed. They're doing it. I mean, they're not holding anything back. We're not holding out secrets. We're not trying to sell anybody any more information, so we hold anything back. We're giving you everything that's current, that's working currently for those people at that time, and what they believe has literally helped them be successful and have the success and build the team and make the money they're making and those kind of things. Whatever they is, they put it into a PowerPoint and they train on it. And so, you're going to learn from everybody on what's working for them currently. So those are some of the reasons why. But more importantly, this regional, wherever you go, whatever regional you go to, and let me tell you, I mean, I imagine there are a few, maybe not that many, but there's a few people on the call where the amount of money that costs to go to the regional is not a drop in the bucket. It is not easy. In fact, it may seem impossible. And I can 100% relate to that. 100%. My very first regional was offered when I just gotten started. I don't even know if I had my combo yet. And I definitely wasn't even marketing. And this was 2008 and the regional was in California and people were talking about this. It was such a foreign concept to me. I mean, they were just talking about this event in 2 days and it was $200 and, I had to travel to Newport Beach or wherever it was. And I was like, it sounded great, but I mean, there was no physical possible way unless I robbed the bank. And even then, that I was going to that regional. There wasn't one here that I recall in Arizona. And I didn't go, I mean, it just is what it was, man. I mean, I was flat ass broke. I had no money. I had, I would take money from my wife out of her purse, cash, to get the gas tank filled up enough to get to the meeting. Now, my wife had a job and she made money and she paid the bills, but I didn't have any money. like she was already covering my butt for everything else, food, living. I didn't have a job. I wasn't making any money. I wasn't making any money as a loan officer, and I'm trying to do real estate with the education of Renatus, and that I'd just gotten, right? I just borrowed all this money to get it, and trying to swing that, wasn't going to happen, and so I chalk it up as a learning experience. I wish I would have gone, and perhaps my marketing would have taken off even better in 2008. Who knows? But the point I'm getting at is whatever you can do to make it happen. I know that once I committed to going to the events, I'll tell you, I had a $70,000 month in the month of May, I think, of 2008. Maybe it was June of 2008. It was 7 months into Renatus. I basically started in January. I think I signed up in December, and then I started finding my funding and got it in January, right? And immediately I gave. I had two Renatus sales and a $50,000 I made in real estate, and I gave $48,000 to my wife for past due bills. And remember, I had screwed up so bad coming out of bankruptcy and marrying my wife that our bills were somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,000 a month in 2008. So that was like 4 months worth of bills that I'd been living off for free. And then I paid down some debt, and I was broke again immediately. And it sounds impossible, but it's not. And so then the college would come around back then, you guys. And I'm going to take this full swing when it comes to pressing on regardless, and when it comes to having all the answers. I'm going to get to that. The college came around. Back then it was live school, you guys. We didn't have online college, right? We had live. You had to wait every 2 to 3 months, and you would fly to Arizona. We would rent out a hotel, the entire damn hotel. I mean, there was one college, there was over 4,000 people there, and we would go, and you would register for classes like a regular college, and you would go from noon, from morning, noon, and night. You'd go to school, and you'd go to the different classes, 3-hour classes and 6-hour, 8-hour classes, and then you do it 6 days in a row. And that was your college. That was when you got the opportunity to learn from the instructor. And then you would, so you'd take the whole week off. I mean, if you had a job, you had to fly out, you'd come out for a day or 2 days, whatever you could afford to do. And that would be your school. And then you'd go back with your notes and your notebooks, and you'd wait 2 or 3 more months for the next college. And so when college would come around, right after that, and I was like, hun, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go take an entire week and do absolutely nothing, make no money. And I'm going to learn about short sales more. And I mean, again, it was a difficult thing. Every time when you get started for, I don't care if it's 3 months or 3 years in Renatus, until you are constantly making a steady paycheck with Renatus, and you have a team, and maybe you've incorporated some real estate. If you're not working another job, it's as difficult as if you were, because you are relying on those funds. So when these events come up, there's always that sacrifice, right? There's always a decision that has to be made, a sacrifice that has to be made for you and your family in order to move your business forward. And I'll tell you, when you choose to make that sacrifice, to spend the money you don't have, to find it in a couch that you don't even sit on, right? Wherever you find those funds, however you make that happen, whatever, I mean, even when you're there then, right? I imagine what it was like for me. there was stress. I was gone, right? And the perception is I'm at a conference, that I'm at class, that I'm having fun, that I'm enjoying, all my colleagues and friends, and there's a bar there, and there's people, and there's social hour, and there's lunchtime, and I'm eating out, and all these things, and it's not and so it's, when we have no money to be doing this type of deal, right? And so, even when you're there, there's the stress of what you left to be there. So all of these things occur. All of these things, and everybody's going to have them to a certain degree. Maybe it's your children or at school, and you're doing fine in your job. And many of you on this phone are not in that position, and thank God. But maybe you're comfortable. Maybe you're not comfortable. Maybe there's issues at home that are not financial, but there are other issues with your kids and all these types of things, and moving, and your job, or whatever it is. And so even when you get to the event, and you've got all these happy, crazy people to be around that are having a good time, and a mind of abundance, and an environment that's created for entrepreneurs and winning, and you still have all the stresses from home. It's these sacrifices, it's these situations that the events prove to be priceless. You may not realize it during the event, and you struggle perhaps to watch people get awards, or hear of different success stories that perhaps you're not having, or maybe you're having success stories, but they're not the Michael Huggins success story, or the John O'Neill, or the Pac members, or the Bob Snyders, or the Woody Woodwards, or whatever it is. Maybe it's, any of the trainers, or even first year people that have done really well. The list goes on, right? I can just sit here and list everybody's thing, but when you're there, and this is what you're going through, no matter what it is, no matter what your situation is with your home, and even if you're comfortable in your financial life, it's these sacrifices that you're making. It's this hidden, sweet sacrifice that you made that will pay dividends in the future. These are the reasons that I believe the events, not just the simple Thursday nights, right, which are the core to our whole Renatus business, but these bigger events that cost more. And not only do they physically cost more out of your checking account, but that they cost you more time. They cost you more personal disputes with your family, and internally with yourself and your belief, because you've pressed on. You've gotten to a point where you've done the things that everybody's telling you to do. You've placed an ad. You've done these things, and yet you're not where you expected to be, which is good, because that means you have big expectations of yourself. Those are positive things, not negative things. It's these things and these reasons we go to these events. It's this hidden, unspoken understanding of what comes out of it internally. When you hear, you go from your head to your heart, we all get that. We all perceive that to be whatever it is that we want. We believe that we understand what it means. We know that we then start to take our business more serious, or we start to feel better about our business, or truly understand the Renatus culture and all that. And all that's true. But going from your head to heart isn't one event and all of a sudden a light bulb goes off. It's the constant sacrifice that you will make with Renatus until you are at a level that you never even dreamed you'd achieve. If we quit and we don't POR, we don't press on regardless. And I don't mean quit Renatus. I mean stop. I mean choose to allow any reason, call it an excuse, call it a reason, call it life, to to hold us back from going to events, a Super Saturday, a regional, anything, especially regional and national. We allow anything to not let us do that. That is a form, quitting isn't the right word, but that is a form of defeat, right? It's a form of, for lack of a better word, giving up, right? And you're not giving up permanently. You're just giving up then. You've succumbed to the pressure. You've succumbed to the business, the entrepreneurialism of Renatus, because Renatus is not instant gratification in most cases. Even when you have success, you'll hear Bob Snyder's been talking about this for decades. Even when you have success, it comes in waves in Renatus. You may have a 10 or 5 or 8 or 12 or $20,000 a month, but you may all of a sudden thinking that you've got a pipeline built, and then people don't fund. People turn around. And I'm going to get to some specific stories, right, about this. But you'll have these up and downs where Renatus will come in waves, and it'll test you. It'll test your relationships. It'll test your family. It'll test your checkbook, and it'll test your strength and your belief. And the way we overcome that is we continue. When it's the hardest thing to do is hit the gas pedal, because you have no finances and you have no time and you've given it all you have, and it's not getting you the result. You can't move forward. Your car won't go. You can't get out of the mud, the 4-wheel drive. You've thrown down the rock. You've done everything you can to unstuck yourself and all this stuff. That's when you hit the gas more. That's when you say there's got to be one more way. And that means getting to the regional, right? That means getting to the next event. That means making the next call. I mean, if you're in this car and you got 24 hours to get this race, and you have to POR, you have to press on regardless, and you're stuck in, I mean, back in Michigan in the spring when the snow's melted and it's still out there, and there is mud like you can't believe. I mean, you guys experience this in Colorado and up in Seattle with the rains, and then out in Utah with the snows as well, and in the mountains. It's treacherous. And this race is made to just make every car not work. It's made to make people fail. It's made to make people roll their cars. They are pushed at high 100+ mile an hour speeds on a single track road with mud, dirt, jumps, 90-degree blind turns, hills, lakes, trees, forest, animals, everything. And when when one of those elements gets you down and stops your car, like literally breaks you, that is when we have to press on regardless. That is when we have to step on the gas and make the car go. My buddy Raphael is on my team. He's been with me now, I don't know, a year and a half. And he's halfway to 5-star qualified. And I don't know anybody in Arizona who's put more people in the room than Raphael. And he's 21 when he started. He's 23 now. And he's in his first deal, it looks like. He's buying an assisted living. He raised private money and partnered with someone in the community. He has tried everything in the planet to build his credit. An amazing individual. And I'm blessed to have him on my team. But this kid has every reason to quit in the marketing. You know what I mean? Like we all do. And he's got every reason not to quit the marketing. But I'll tell you, we're working with a guy, Martin, and this kid's been to so many events, lined up 2 different ways to fund the education, and was coming to quite a lot of events, like I said, and he ghosted us recently. We were ready to place his order. I mean, he had the funding. I mean, Raphael didn't place the order without the funding, so he didn't do a ghost order. But I mean, it was all there. I mean, I was not worried about him. It was going to 5-star Raphael. It was amazing. And he ghosted. And you know, Raphael had right out of the gate, he had a essential sale. And one of you guys isn't on mute. It's not the end of the world. I can try to mute you myself, but if you notice you're not on mute, maybe just check it out. You sound like you're in a car or something. Laugh out loud because we're talking about press on regardless. Yeah, Mac. Yeah, I appreciate the comments, Charlene. That's awesome. That's awesome about the leaders retreat. Yeah, I appreciate the comments, guys. You know, right out of the gate, he had an essential sale. He brought it before he was even an IMA. He was bringing friends to the meeting from work, and then 2 of them decided to get started. And one guy was there. They both went through Get Funded. One got credit cards to buy the essentials cash, and then the other one got the money to buy the combo cash. But he was, you know, I'm going to screw this up. You guys forgive me. But he was so he was born in the United States to an illegal alien, and I can't remember the name of it, but you remember that law that they were working on, that whole law, but whatever. And so when that was going down with Trump and everything, it scared him, and he was worried he was going to get deported, even though he was technically, you know, he wasn't a citizen yet, but he was born in the United States, and they were going through that whole thing. But so he backed out. He didn't even buy the combo. We had the order placed and everything. And this is right out of the gate, within the first couple months of Raphael working with Renatus. And we lost that sale. The guy, you know, never came back around, and he wasn't able to change his life, and he's still working at the car dealership, and it is what it is. And there's so many opportunities that we've seen with Raphael that we thought, you know, would come to fruition. You know, there was times I was talking about Raphael potentially having a $20,000 to $40,000 a month with his pipeline on given times, and that pipeline dries up, you guys. It just does. I mean, it's part of the business, and that's why we always want to continue to give birth to new prospects, give birth to new people who want the opportunity, and we don't focus on the past people. Right? We drip on them. We help them as best we can. But if they're not ready to place the order, then they can't find the funding. Then it just is what it is, and we keep going on until the timing is right for them. No, if we look at, I'm sure that I'm guessing, and in fact, I would almost bet on it because I'm a betting man. I bet football every week. I would bet that everybody on this call has had an experience, in more than one most likely, of people that were in the pipe, ready to go. They love it. They want it. They need it. They see it. They are ready for it. And so then they try to get funding. They try many, many different ways to get funding. It doesn't work out. Or, you know, I'll tell you, there was a leader here. Well, he still is a leader here, and a friend of mine with me on the leadership team here in Arizona. And he had a prospect, and they went to one of my property tours. And when we were done, I mean, the guy literally jumped out of his seat. He was so excited. He gave me a hug. He's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "I'm 100% in. My wife and I." He's like, "You know, we're buying you. You know, you were amazing, and this whole thing." And so Kevin wasn't at that tour. I think the guy had been to a Thursday night already. Came to the tour. I called Kevin to let him know he's excited. Kevin signed him up, rolled him on a Sunday, right? And then they already figured out their funding. They had the ability to fund the combo and everything, and they placed the order and everything. And the next day or that evening, they literally called Kevin. And they said, "Kev, you know, we're very, you know, religious, whatever, or, you know, we strong faith. We believe that our higher power has told us that it's not for us. We're not going to do it." And that was it. And he lost that combo. And this, I hadn't seen a couple excited about that in a while up to that time. And so I'm sure that everybody has a story about the ability to fund a combo and having the prospect in the pipe and more than one most likely and really ready to close its deal and get 5-star, be halfway to 5-star, or make $10,000 and then it goes away. And that is the time when we don't quit. That is the time where we don't let up and we don't get discouraged. That is the time when you take Michael's advice and you say it's perfect. And you say, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's perfect. This is part of the business. In fact, it's a big part of the business. You know, the whole point of this is that when I train, you know, you've got you guys across the country, you know, take advantage of the leaders that you have. Whoever your pack member is, whoever your pit member is, Christian Sadler, you know, Chris White, these guys, John McCants, you know, the list goes on. Nate, you know, these people are up and coming leaders. They've proven the system works. Yourselves as local leaders, get with each other and learn from each other. Watch each other. But, you know, for me, I don't, all I know is that there isn't a magic way to make this work. I know that the system works. I know that if I plug in and I go to the events and I place ads and I put people in front of the information, I will change people's lives. I will benefit myself financially and emotionally, and I will create a better life. If you know that, then it doesn't matter how long it takes, and it doesn't matter how often it doesn't work. It only matters that you know it and that you pursue it and that you press on regardless. When I go to the regionals and I go to the nationals and I go to the Thursday nights, there isn't a time that I'm satisfied with the number of guests that I have. There isn't a time that I'm satisfied with the amount of how big my team is. If it's 35 people, it's not satisfying. Don't get me wrong, my people are satisfying, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm not satisfied, right? I'm constantly wanting to do more and have more and help more. The answers, as much as all the trainers, in my opinion, across the country, the regionals included, are trying to give us every piece of information, you guys. If you're not attending these events, you're missing out, because they are giving you everything they know that currently works today in their ability to make money in Renatus. And if your goal is to make money in your Renatus business, obviously help people along the way, help yourself and your family, grow a team, become a leader, any of these things or all of these things, then they're telling you exactly what that is, right? But it doesn't mean that it's the answers. It doesn't, all they know is what they know. And what they know is that they did the same simple steps. They're not easy, but they did the same simple steps. They went to all the events, then they continued to market and build for events and see the people, and then follow up with the people so they could close the business while they continued to go to events. So when we look at and we go, oh my God, we have to be at the regional. That's what everybody's saying. I don't know why, but you have to be there. It's from your head to your heart. The reason is that that's the system, that is the business model, that the business model is it's an event-driven business and a people business. And that if you do these things, it has been proven that this is how the successful people have done it, right? At least the majority, right? The biggest part of the biggest piece of the pie chart has followed this system. And so along the way, we don't always hear about all of the struggles. We don't always hear about all of the turmoil. We don't always hear about all the internal Stress is right. We hear the rags to riches stories, and I get it. We all know that. We hear the times that Bob Tierney went through 1,100 people before he had a sale and things like that. But we also don't know everybody's or many people's internal struggles with family, with children, or with finances, with their job, with their business, with their partners. We don't hear about a lot of that. It's not public knowledge. Sometimes intimately it'll be shared among friends, but even though we're all family, not all of us are that close with each other, and we don't have time to share 10,000 stories that intimately. So we don't hear about all that. So whatever you're going through, everybody's gone through it. And everybody that has been successful and has continued to be successful and is training us and helping us, and we're surrounded with them, as happy as we are and as grateful as we are, we all have our own internal struggles. And none of us had any of the answers all the way through. In fact, we didn't have all the answers or every answer or any of the answers. We may not have even had one answer. All we had was a system. And all we had was the ability to press on regardless, was to either do this or don't do it. It wasn't a try. There's no try, right? There's only do or don't do. And so the people that have led before you and have been successful, they've just done. They may have questioned the regional. They may have questioned the national. They may question, why am I going to go see the same thing over and over again on a Thursday night? Just like many of us have, or at least in the beginning you did. Or maybe it wasn't even the beginning you questioned. It was later on when you've been going for 6 months and nothing's happened yet. And you're like, why would you? And someone even in your immediate surroundings would be like, why would you ever go see that thing again? It's not working, right? That is when the gas pedal needs to go down even farther. That is when, I can't tell who's on mute, or maybe I can, but I'm not worried about it. If you're not on mute, you may want to mute yourself, but no worries. That is when it's time. And everybody has gone through their own internal struggle, but the ones that we're learning from, the ones that have gotten to where we want to go in the Renatus business, they went regardless. They got to the regional, the national, the Thursday night, the Super Saturday, the intensive. They got there no matter what the cost, financially, personally, or physically. And they made it happen. And so with that, you guys, 7:52. If there's any questions or thoughts, I'm going to quickly type in my cell phone number. There we go. 760-533-3141 if you don't have it. 760-533-3141. Anyway, yeah, that's what I want to share tonight, was that, these regionals we're in the beginning of the regional season, and there's a lot of people putting in a lot of effort to make your life better. And I know that most of you on this call are part of that. And thank you for that. Thank you guys for stepping up. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for helping your leaders out, helping out your region, helping out Bob Snyder, helping out Renatus in general, and helping other people. Thank you. Thank yourselves. Thank your friends. Thank your colleagues. It's awesome. There's a reason these events are there. I'll tell you, if these events were not important, you think Bob Snyder would travel to all 11 of them or 10 of them, whatever it is? No way. He knows how important it is to be at these events. I mean, imagine the sacrifice, that he's putting during this season, these next 3 months, on his family. But he does it. Sandra, I'm so glad you're on the call. I'm so glad you decided to do it. It's press on regardless. It's those times, I don't know. I used to struggle, you guys, all the time on Monday night. If I could say the F word, I would. I freaking hated getting on the webinar and listening to people's success stories, because I wasn't having it. And I was struggling in 08 and 09 like crazy. You guys, I owed so much money. My first 2 years of my marriage were tested every day, every week. Not because we didn't love each other, just because I'd made a lot of mistakes. And it cost us. But man, when I got on the Thursday night, the Monday night webinar, and when it was over, I was grateful. And I was glad. And it got me through Tuesday and Wednesday to get to Thursday so I could go to the meeting. And that's the time. That's the time to press on regardless, is when it's the hardest. You know, or when you're comfortable. Or when you don't really need this, you're doing okay, you got some real estate deals, you got a good job, whatever it is, that's the time to hit the gas. That's the time to press on regardless. Ronnie said, what is a book to help you write better ads? I got to be honest with you, Ronnie. I love you, brother, man. You're awesome. You're so positive. This is my opinion of ads, you guys. And this is all I've done in both my businesses. I don't, if I yellow letter anything, if I put a door hanger on the door for a real estate deal, if I place an ad on Craigslist, you guys, I write it from the heart. If you can imagine yourself in foreclosure, wanting anything in life, what ad would you respond to? Write that one down. Write down an ad to get yourself to go to the event. Write down your ad to get yourself to call, and then place that ad. Who do you want to attract in this business or in your real estate business? Or who do you want to work with? You want to work with people like yourself. You know, if you're bettering yourself and you've found the Michael Huggins way of personal development, then place an ad for personal development. You know, some of the best insurance ads in the world, like some of the best ads on TV and in the world, they don't even talk about what the product does. They pattern interrupt. They interrupt people's thought process. So they grab their attention. They put themselves, the ad writers, they put themselves in the shoes of the people watching the ad. Like food is one thing. That's a sense that everybody can, any advertiser can appeal to. But the mind and the heart, you guys, that is where you want to appeal to people. Imagine yourself reading the ad and place that ad. There's no book, in my opinion, or I don't even read. I don't even know how to read, you guys. But I don't think there's a book that's going to teach you to place a great ad. I think it's going to come from within. I think it's going to come from what you want and what you would expect someone to respond to in your ad. So that would be the ad I would place. You know, Adel just posted, Bob said at the regionals in Atlanta that if you're in your comfort zone, you're in your failure zone. And I couldn't agree more, right? You know, there's a lot of times when things are going well. And those are the times we sit back, relax. And there is not you know, we all watch somebody who's great. And I'm not talking about Renatus. I'm talking about sports, music, theater, you know, acting, chefs, whatever your passion is, whatever your hobby is, and you love to watch and learn from the best and appreciate the best of the best in the world doing an event, whatever it is. Those folks do not rely on what they've done in the past, and they don't rely on being comfortable where they are. They get stronger, faster, better by continually to press on. You know, if you're not into golf, it's all right. But Tiger Woods did pretty well this weekend. He hasn't won in 5 years, and to be honest, he hasn't played golf like this year, the way he's played this year in a decade. And it's interesting because he won by a few strokes, but he's not. People compare him to how he could dominate the field in the past. I don't know that he's any worse than he ever was at his best. He seems to be doing very well. But the rest of the field, the younger guys, watched Tiger when they were kids. And those guys are the best golfers in the world now alongside Tiger. And they simply improved their physique and their game. They practiced harder. They practiced more. They went in the weight room. They changed the way they golfed because they could have easily been comfortable in second, third, fourth, and fifth position behind Tiger. And then when Tiger was gone, they were winning. But they elevated their game, and they caught up to the Tiger of old. Not that Tiger fell down to the players of old, if that makes sense. They pressed on when they could have taken it easy because he was no longer playing well, if that makes sense. Anyway, it's 8 o'clock. I'll let you guys go. I appreciate your time. I respect everybody's time. I'm just on these last couple comments, the drive system. You guys are going to have to figure that one out on your own. I don't know the drive system. I'll have to find that out. I would say text Michael Huggins on that, or go to the Scottsdale Elevate. Elevate page on Facebook and post that to find out, you guys. I apologize. You're welcome, Ronnie Collins. Everybody else, you're welcome. Thanks for listening to me and to being on this call. It's greatly appreciated. I enjoy it, hopefully as much as you guys do, if you do enjoy it at all. And have a great day. I'll sign off, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Enjoy the regionals. Take advantage of it. You're welcome, Bernadette. You guys are awesome. You guys you're living the dream. You're doing it. Keep it up. Talk to you soon.